Iowa Congressman Steve King was stripped of all his congressional committees this week after making controversial comments to the New York Times. The issue, though, became a journalistic showdown after NBC executives told staffers not to label the comments as racist.
I don't think I can answer that clearly.
Iowa Representative Steve King is well known for making provocative comments like this.
Where did any other subgroup of people contribute more to civilization?
Than white people?
Than Western civilization itself, and every place where the footprint of Christianity settled the world.
But comments to the New York Times last week were the last straw for Republicans after King said, white nationalist, white supremacist, Western civilization. How did that language become offensive? Republicans pulled his committee assignments while reporters danced around how to describe King's comments.
The Iowa lawmaker has come under scrutiny after a long history of racially charged remarks.
King appeared to show sympathy with racist ideologies.
But NBC brass got nervous, telling reporters and anchors not to label the comments as racist. According to the HuffPo, NBC staffers pushed back, and the Standards folks relented, agreeing it was okay to call the remarks racist, but you need to be careful about calling Steve King himself or anyone racist.
This is CNN Tonight. I'm Don Lemon. The President of the United States is racist.
Maybe Don Lemon was NBC's inspiration. But, you know, Joanna, this does remind me a little bit of the discussion we've had here a couple times about whether journalists should be calling the President of the United States a liar versus saying he lied about that. The Washington Post, as you know, has been keeping track, and there's something like 7,500 lies he's told since he took office. But should we be using the word liar, racist, or...
Well, and liar, at least you can really, there's an objective truth about whether someone's lied or not. Racist, you know,
it's intent. Yeah.
It's intent. You know, to some degree, it's in the eye of the beholder. There are some, I mean, you know, Steve King is a pretty extreme case. You know, it's hard to find any other motivation for the remarks that he made. But I could see a scenario where somebody says something that someone very, you know, in a heartfelt way takes as racist that isn't necessarily intended. You're starting to get into judgment calls, and that's where I think you're right. It's tricky for journalists to have to make those judgment calls rather than just laying the statements out there and letting people draw their conclusions.
That's where the line gets a little fuzzy, because a lot of the pundits are it's different being a pundit and offering an opinion. When you're reporting, as I just finished many, many years, you're very careful of expressing your own opinion. You certainly put together the record of what what the person has said, and then you put it in context with what he's saying, and then you get reaction to it. You know, I always felt very uncomfortable coming out myself and calling somebody whatever racist for certain. That's a label that doesn't go away.
Yeah. Well, it's to my knowledge, and I've been reading a lot about this, most reporting said his comments were racist. That is appropriate. That's where NBC was way off. His comments are racist. His comments have always been racist. That is who the man has been in terms of the kind of commentary he has. Now, when you get down to whether you want to characterize him as such, I write an opinion column every Monday for my radio station. I will call him that. But to your other point, I don't think you're just right for other people to make that.
So NBC, just to distinguish, they wanted to some people say these remarks are racist. They didn't want.
I understand that. And that was stupid because the remarks are racist.
Right. Exactly.
If some people say Steve King is racist, okay, NBC, you got something to say there. But his comments, that's not a question. That's not even an eye of the beholder thing. That's what it is. You know.
I would say that somebody who says racist things and then defends them is a racist.
Well, yeah, but see, then you get into how do you characterize it?
Yeah,
you're not
right.
Yeah, but
no,
it depends on the role. Your role in covering that story.
Right. Yeah. If we're coming from a journalistic standpoint, you can and I can. I don't think everybody else can say that.
Okay. I guess what I would say is I think that the terms racist and racism are things that we ought to use with great care, and I don't think they're things that we ought to be saying all the time. But this was racist. And a lot of the things that President Trump has said are racist, and there's nothing wrong with pointing that out.
The problem is you get into the wilds of social media, and suddenly everyone thinks everything is racist. I mean, there are a lot of people claiming offense at a lot of things.
Yes.
And, you know, that's fine on social media, and it's another thing for a journalistic outlet to say that.
And it happens a lot on social media, just to follow up on that, a story about pointing out racism. I'm not, now this is aside from Steve King, all of a sudden, well, you're a racist. No one's saying that. We're pointing out an incident of racism, which can exist without my characterizing you or anybody else.
Yeah.
Come on, you know.